with Chat Atelier fans. This is Chris Bolts, and I'm coming in with an episode review of this week's episode 2, the Dada Range Test. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, this episode, it's still trying to get us familiar with all the characters with the world of Witch Hat Atelier. So not a lot of action going on or anything like that. You see right here in the beginning, we see Keyfree coming to this really big tower that's out in the middle of the ocean. And towers out in the middle of the ocean always spell doom and gloom, but not in this particular case. This is actually the entrance to the Great Hall, and we'll get to what the Great Hall looks like in just a moment. Getting ready to meet with another character, Alara. This is an introduction of a classmate of his. We learned two things from Alara, this conversation between Alara and Keyfree. One, he is known as the problem child of the Great Hall, as you see right there, Alara saying that right there. And two, that he's after a person called the Brimmed Caps. Now, Brimmed Caps might be the Faceless Witch. They don't say that is exactly who the Faceless Witch was. We all know from the first episode, the Faceless Witch was the one who actually introduced Coco to the concept of magic by giving her the book she thought was a wand at the time, but turned out to be a inkwell, special ink, as well as a pen to be able to draw her sigils. So that is what she was referring to by calling him that Brimless Caps. That could be somebody else. Again, we don't have confirmation that it's the Faithless Witch. Meanwhile, as this episode is called the Dada Range Test, Agat, who doesn't necessarily like Coco, but doesn't also hate her, she sends Coco on the test to go to the Dada Range, where she has to go in there and pick up what's called a diadem herb. It's the first test of the Dada Range test. And you see right there, she says if you fail, you'll never be allowed to be Master Keyfree's apprentice. Coco, being the girl that she is, does not hesitate to go on this quest. During this quest, we learn some things about Coco, the character. Again, she's very brave. She's not fully immersed in magic, but she is a quick learner, and not the quick learner in the type of a way that the typical girl bosses are. Coco is not a girl boss. We saw what happened to her in the first episodes. She suffered a tragic loss. Her mother was frozen in that forbidden spell. She had an inkling and understanding of that, but she suffered the consequence of doing something that she was not very knowledgeable in. And during this time right here, she was borrowing the shoes of Agat. At the bottom of the soles of the shoes, you see that they can also go ahead and do flight. So she wanted to go ahead and use those shoes to help her with flight. And that actually happens to be a necessity for the Dada Range, because the Dada Range, these are actually the Dada Ranges. And on the highest one is where the diadem herb is seated. Unfortunately for her, she actually got her shoes wet, and then she started wiping away the sigil. She messed up her one way to be able to get up there and get the diadem herb. But during that time period, she was thinking back to her time as a seamstress and was recalling the steady hand that Keyfree had observed her having. Her technique is true magic. She remembered all of that and said, you know something? I'm going to go ahead and draw my own sigil. Now, I just want to go back and look at this for a minute. Her mother actually has a very steady hand as well. I think her mother could have been a magician, because we all know, as from the history of Witch Hat Atelier, that everyone actually has access to magic, so long as you know how to draw the sigil and you have the special ink as well as a pen or whatever object that you can draw on. So everybody can do it, but because of the event that took place several hundred years ago, called the Day of the Pact. The Day of the Pact was when all the magic was sealed and only a select handful of witches is able to use the magic. So I think that her mama could have been just as great a magician as her, because she has a very steady hand, and Coco picked up that ability herself. So eventually she learns, she goes ahead and draws her own sigil on her cape. And this is how she actually learned how to fly. She created her own flight spell and was able to go ahead and start flying, and she did master it a little quickly, but this is through trial and error, not through something that, oh, well, I'm going to draw this and I'm automatically going to be good at being able to fly. As you can see, she's struggling to control that, and eventually she did learn to go ahead and fly. She was able to go ahead and get that special herb, she was sent on this fool's errand by Agat because Agat does not have any type of respect for anyone who does not know how to do things as good as she can do, as well as her being an outsider. Can't simply become an apprentice. I hate people who can't do what I can, especially outsiders. So she's all right. So she has a disdain for Coco. Like I said, not necessarily a hatred, but she's that type of character, that type of anime character where she just doesn't automatically attach to the protagonist. It's someone that you have to go in there and earn their respect through your own deeds, through your own work. And of course, Coco is doing that. She was able to go in there and get the flower. She presents it to Agat, but Agat walks away because, again, she didn't think that Coco would be able to do it, but she came back and did it. And so Agat's walking away all butthurt and mad. Keyfree comes in and tells her that you didn't really need to go ahead and do that test because I've already decided to make you my apprentice. And we see that he gives her her outfit and she starts putting on her outfit, which looks very nice looking turquoise type greenish color. She pulls over her cloth and Keyfree is talking to her about the importance and the weight of being a witch. And Coco is starting to wear this with pride and dignity. So it's really good that she's finally was able to at least attain one of her goals. Her primary goal is trying to figure out a way to get her mother out of the crystal forbidden spell that she inadvertently cast. But this is still a really good stepping stone in that direction. And you see right there, Keyfree says, as long as you wear it, don't forget its weight, the weight of being a witch. So this was a really good episode in which we're getting more introductions to the characters, getting a feel for them, getting an understanding for some of the things that take place in the world. And there was a good surprise at the end of this episode. The Faceless Witch was also present inside of the data range. So he was there observing Coco as she was taking her test. And he says simply, the seed has sprouted. So that means that this Faceless Witch saw something in Coco all those years back. And Coco is now finally starting to sprout as a witch. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode, and I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Again, not a lot of action or anything, but when you're sitting there and introducing these characters, you want us to fall more in love with the characters, and Coco is such a lovable character. Keyfree has some mysteries about him. He's called the problem child of the Great Hall. Alara says that you have a deep disdain and hatred for the Great Hall, which is one of the reasons why Keyfree does not stay in the Great Hall. He has his apprentices stay with him elsewhere on the mainland. And oh, by the way, the Great Hall itself, the Great Hall is actually underwater. So there's the tower, there's the entrance, and we're coming down, and here it is right here underwater. So there has to be a really big giant sigil. We got this wailing blocking our view. We got this giant sigil that's underneath this Great Hall that allows it to reside underwater. So that just tells you the extent to which the power of magic within the world of which had Atelier. So again, 8.5 out of 10. I really like this episode. What did you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments and let me know. And make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Boat signing off, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.